Okay, we're live. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the reaction. Sorry, I've been away. Oh, had a bit of playback there. Um, couldn't get a show last week. Scheduling, but we back. Once you enter the chat, guys, please drop a comment. Let me know you're in the building. Please like the stream as well. Share, spread the word. All right, and if you want to call in, the number is 0203 8787870. That number again, 0203 8787870. All right, so just to give you a bit of a rundown of what we'll be discussing today. Obviously, I'm a whole week late to talk about the NBA Finals. 1 second. Brent, is there a delay? There seems to be. It looks like it's I did initially at the beginning. Now I'm not, but there's a lag. I could definitely see a lag. Yeah. Oh, does it? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a week late to discuss obviously the NBA Finals, so you know, we won't go into too much depth about it because I'm sure you guys are. You know, you've those who are Knicks fans, you've probably consumed enough post-finals content, but obviously I'll definitely give you my take. Obviously the World Cup is on as well, so we can talk a little bit of the World Cup, do a bit of World Cup Arsenal watch, and see how some of our players are doing. But mainly today I want to get into the Arsenal transfer rumours, speculations, because there's a lot happening right now. I feel like every day I wake up there's a new Arsenal link. And it's always the same type of, verbiage that's being used to describe what's happening. So yeah, we'll get into that. Where would I like to start? Let's start at the top. The New York Knicks are the 2025-2026 NBA champions. I actually watched the game live here at the New Black. It was actually my birthday, actually. It was actually my birthday on the 14th. So, yeah, the Knicks won on my birthday, which was a nice touch. A nice little birthday gift. But, yeah, Knicks in 5. They took down the San Antonio Spurs, gave them a gentleman's sweep. That's 4-1, for those who don't know what that means. A gentleman's sweep means 4-1. So yeah, the Knicks, man. The Knicks are. I can't lie. It feels kind of surreal. It feels surreal for the Knicks to be the champions, man. Just obviously, I haven't supported the Knicks since obviously they last won. That was in the 70s. But even in '99, when they last made the finals versus the Spurs, I wasn't a Knicks fan then. I was quite young. I wasn't that into basketball in '99. But when I started supporting the Knicks, I think I started supporting the Knicks maybe in maybe 03, 04. So before Carmelo went there, but obviously when Carmelo went there, that kind of increased my my enthusiasm, should I say, for the Knicks. But yeah, it feels surreal. It feels surreal for such a a massive franchise in regards to just basketball fandom and the Garden and just New York City, and it being such a basketball city, and just the fanfare and just everything that surrounds the Knicks as a whole, and just obviously the failures and it's almost like Arsenal. Like they almost became like the banter team, the team that had all the tools to succeed, but kept failing year in, year out. And it's almost like they became a laughingstock. So for them to actually finally win after all this time, it still feels surreal. Whenever I see the Knicks logo or just, any type of content around them and with the trophy, and it's like, wow, the Knicks are actually the champions. That's dope, man. It is dope. Jalen Brunson got the MVP Well deserved. Well deserved. If I remember correctly, I think he had 45. He had 45, if I'm not mistaken, in game 5. Also, as quiet as kept, the Knicks have won every trophy available to them this season. They won the NBA Cup earlier on in the year against the Spurs, ironically enough. Then obviously they won the East. They won the Eastern Conference Championship. Then they won the NBA Championship. So they won 3 trophies, man. And along with that, Jalen Brunson won Finals MVP. He won the NBA Cup MVP and the Eastern Conference MVP as well. So Jalen Brunson actually won all the MVPs during his trophy run. So he has 6, and I think he even won did he win the Shooting Stars during the All-Star weekend? So Jalen Brunson's got a full trophy cabinet, man. By my count, he's won 7 trophies this season. 7. That is crazy. That is crazy. And I'm not sure, did he win? Because I haven't seen the actual NBA awards this year. I've seen the MVP, which went to Shea. He went to Shea again, SGA. But I haven't seen them actually announce the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, the Clutch Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. Like normally they announce those trophies first, then they announce the MVP. But I'm pretty sure I even scoured through their Instagram when I saw them announce Shea as the MVP. Like, wait a minute, they didn't announce any of the other trophies, and I haven't seen it to this day. I might look back at it, but I haven't seen who won all the other awards. I said that to say that I think Jalen should or could have won maybe another, you know what I mean, maybe a Clutch Player of the Year. But yeah, I'll double check that and have a look. But here's a thought that I want to share about the finals. Well, a few thoughts, but the first thought is I don't like Wemby anymore. Prior to the finals, Wemby came across very, humble, but eager to succeed. He came across very respectful. He came across as a fair, kind of clean player, kind of like a stand-up kind of guy. But now he's coming across as, or during the finals, he came across as very arrogant and kind of like on a high horse and very dirty as well in regards to some of his plays and just a bit like a brat. I don't know. He just became unlikable. Like from obviously mushing Brunson to deliberately trying to plant his foot underneath Brunson when he went to shoot a 3 or 2, whatever it was, to walking off after game 5 when the Knicks won, just walking off the court, not shaking anyone's hand, to a multitude of his post-match interviews, just his demeanor, what he was saying. He just came across like a very sore loser. Yeah, I don't know. Like this final didn't do much for his reputation. Like as a player, I think he showed, him and the team as a whole showed, a lack of experience, immaturity. They led, I believe they led every single game of that series. And obviously they let the biggest lead in NBA history slip during game 4. I don't even remember if I even spoke about game 4 here. My recollection is gone. Did I even speak about game 4? Hand of OG, all of that stuff? I don't remember. But yeah, the Spurs showed great immaturity and lack of experience. It was clear that they were a young team. Even the coach as well. Because for them to let those leads slip every single game, even during game 5, I was convinced that, there's no way that the Spurs are going to be up again and let another lead slip. Like, surely they've learnt from the previous games. But no, it happened again. Like, it actually happened again where they were up by a lot. Not as much as, obviously, as game 4, but they were up by a lot. And then the Knicks came back again. It was just a pattern of the finals. So it's like, bad game management from, the the coach, from the players, making, rash decisions, not knowing when to call time out, not knowing when to, dribble the ball out. Just poor, game management all around, because they should have won. The Knicks should have won, to be fair, but based off of how the game started and, who was kind of in control, the Spurs bottled it, essentially. Cheers. They bottled it. But no one will blame them because they're a young team. Like I said on the previous show, Wemby and the Spurs are very reminiscent of LeBron and the Cavs in 2007. You had a budding rising star, a la Wemby and LeBron, leading a young team to the finals against a much older, much seasoned team. The Cavs played the Spurs back in 2007 in the finals and lost. I believe they got swept, actually. So yeah, both these kind of stories are very similar. Obviously, LeBron went on to win 4 rings. Obviously, he had to leave Cleveland first to win 2 with Miami, then came back and won in 2016. They even had their 10-year anniversary this year. A bunch of them, I think it was like Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Tristan Thompson, did I say Kevin Love? Kevin Love, who else? Richard Jefferson, Iman Shumpert, Matthew Dellavedova. They were even in the UK. They were in Scotland. I think they were in London as well. They were out vacationing, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the Cavs chip. Sans Kyrie. Kyrie wasn't there. JR digged him a little bit on socials. Kyrie replied, and then JR said that they spoken. It's all love. But initially there was a bit of like, oh, why isn't Kyrie there? J.R. Smith said they reached out to him. He went ghost, and that's what that matters, kind of thing. But they squashed that. What was I saying? Yeah, so the Spurs will be back. Young team. Wemby's going to be a star, but I just don't like Wemby no more. I don't know. He just came across like a sore loser, a bit like a brat, and even the last thing he said in his interview, he said, "I'll see you guys, never." I'm like, what type of comment was that? But let me have a look at my next notes. Yeah. I don't remember if I spoke about the hand OG, but if I did, then let me repeat myself. I think that game when they came back from 29 points and OG Anunoby, tipped it in. Probably the best moment of the finals. Brunson's performance in Game 5 as well. I think he single-handedly outscored the other 4 starters for the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, which is incredible. Brunson's dope, man. The Knicks had their parade as well. They had a bus full of like rappers like Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Mary J. Blige. I think Mobb Deep were there, Jadakiss, The Lox, a bunch of others, which was dope. I think their count was 2 million compared to Arsenal's 1.5. But yeah, man, to be a Knicks fan, to be an Arsenal fan this year, you can't ask for more, man. You can't ask for more. The only thing I ask for now is if England win the World Cup, the parade would be insane. If you think Arsenal's was big. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a background. You guys can see my background. The Arsenal Champions bus. So yeah, speaking of parades, if England win the World Cup, if you think Arsenal's parade was massive, then you ain't seen nothing. 'Cause remember, this is England. This ain't just a team in London. This is the whole of the UK. If England win the World Cup, madness, absolute madness. Yes, DC, what you saying, bro? Champions. Yeah, if England win, madness. Speaking of England, actually, I enjoyed their first game. They're playing tomorrow against Ghana, but I enjoyed their first game. It wasn't the atypical England game. It was very I don't associate England games with like, high scores. So the fact that it was 6 goals was surprising. The fact that it was back and forth as well until it was 3-2 was also surprising. Let me do a bit of Arsenal watch. So Eze never played. Saka came on second half and assisted Rashford. Rashford's goal was cold. I love the way he cut back and left the defender to slot it in. Noni won the free kick that led to Kane's penalty. Rice assisted Kane from a corner, set piece, ole ole. And obviously Saka assisted Rashford. So it was actually 3 Arsenal contributions during that game. So, the lads are doing well. Everyone kind of praised Noni's performance, and I understand it to a certain degree in regards to him running at the defender. Don't get me wrong, he had a few decent crosses and runs and stuff, but there was a few opportunities where Noni just shows me kind of what he is in the final third, and I don't know why he's like this. I feel like sometimes he just doesn't know what to do. I think he's one of them players, give him time and space to run, and he's just going to overthink it, and he doesn't know if he wants to take it on himself to try and shoot or cross it in. Players like that, they can't. I think Martinelli's the same. Players like Noni, they need like a millisecond to decide. Like, they need to be given the ball and they need to just decide quickly what to do. Right? If they're given time and space to run with the ball, especially if it's like from almost like the halfway line, I think 8 times out of 10, he's just going to make the wrong decision or be indecisive, or like there's no conviction. Like, that's the difference between, I think this is my honest opinion. See, as an athlete, Noni is better than Saka as an athlete, I think Noni is, obviously he's got more pace, he's more agile. I'm not sure about strength, but they're both maybe similar in strength. I think if Noni could control his abilities, physically, he could actually be better than Saka, but mentally, Saka is way, 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 way above Noni. Like, Saka's decision making, when Saka has the ball, you're confident he's going to make the right decision. You're confident he's going to make the right choice. With Noni, you're like, is he going to run it off the pitch? Is he going to delay the pass? Does he have the confidence and the assertiveness to cut in, take on the defender and shoot? Not really. You know what I mean? Like, he's had moments, don't get me twisted, like, but he's only take on the defender and score. He's only got one of those goals, and that was against Club Brugge, which was a banger. But the rest of his goals were just quick decisions. Like, just boom, headers. He had the tap-in against Bayern. What else? A few of his goals, but he's only had one goal where he actually ran with the ball, took on a defender, and scored. And all the other times he could have done that, he just made the wrong decision. So, yeah, for me, he's definitely still a work in progress, but I definitely understand why Tuchel picks him, and why he's favoured above other players that he could have picked instead. But yeah, Rice went off injured. I believe it was like a hamstring niggle, something rather, which isn't great news. But I think he should be fine. Tuchel said, I'll never take off Rice. So if I take him off, then it must be an injury, or it must be something serious, or just a precaution, should I say. I think this notion that Rice should play every moment and every minute of every game is wrong. When a player is in their peak of their powers, you take them for granted and you feel like they're Superman. And one day that player will break down. So I think, take it easy with Rice. So yeah, tomorrow, Ghana versus England. I'm hoping Eze gets some minutes. We'd like to see him. I think Noni will start again. Rice will definitely start. Saka. No, I think Saka would be on the bench. I reckon. But if England win tomorrow, then I think game 3 we might see Saka start game 3. But yeah, that's the Arsenal watch. Sorry, that's the England Arsenal watch. Where else? Spain. So our lads haven't really played thus far for Spain. Obviously, Raya is not the number 1 anyway, so he was never going to play. Zubimendi had a bad second half of the season. Obviously, he's behind Rodri anyway. And then Marino, even though Marino's kind of like one of the main guys for Spain, he hasn't really played either. Well, from the start anyway. I think he's made 1 or 2 sub appearances. Maybe that's down to just him coming back from injury. I'm not sure. To be fair, I haven't really watched Marino much for Spain, so I'm not sure about his role, if he's normally a star or he comes off the bench anyway. But either way, the Arsenal Spanish boys haven't really played that much football this World Cup so far. I can't pretend like I've watched every single game that an Arsenal player has been involved in, but the one game I do want to talk about is yesterday's game, Sweden versus the Netherlands, and the scoreline was quite bad. Sweden lost 5-1, but what I want to discuss is Gyökeres actually balled out. I'm not sure if you saw the game, DC. Also, if you're in the chat, guys, if you're on the stream, please drop a comment. Gyökeres balled out. He balled out. He had one cross where I didn't know he had it in his locker. And then I can't remember who the attacker was. It came off his chest. But that cross that Gyökeres put, I thought, raw. I've seen him do that for Arsenal only once. It wasn't even that type of ball. It was a cross, but it was kind of on the ground. But just the way he was moving yesterday, like the way he was moving on the left, the way he was, I'm like, this guy looks. I didn't see this kind of movement for Arsenal. Maybe obviously we play differently, and are Sweden also the only team that play a 4-4-2 or play with 2 strikers? Because I feel like one of the reasons why they lost yesterday by that heavy margin is because they play with 2 strikers who don't defend. There was one point of the game where the Netherlands were attacking. I just saw Gyökeres and Isak up front, just literally jogging back at snail's pace. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, no, Gyökeres balled out, man. I want to see more of that. I want to see that more of that next season. I missed the Sweden game, saw the Spain game though. What was the Spain game saying? I know I know Zubi didn't come on, but did Marino come on at one point? But nah, Gyökeres balled out yesterday, man. I definitely want to see more of that from him next season. A lot of his, maybe obviously playing 4-4-2 and him being, playing a bit wider and, less centrally probably helped and was the reason why he was in the positions he was to make those crosses. But yeah, we need to try to get that out of him next season, man. I don't know if playing him on the left is an option. Because him and Havertz do play well together. So maybe a Havertz and a Gyökeres and a Saka. I don't know. But the way he played yesterday, I want to see that for Arsenal. I feel like when Havertz and Gyökeres played together, they did have good moments. They did have a few good moments. I definitely agree with that. But when they played together, they played kind of close to each other. And the way Gyökeres played yesterday, I haven't seen him, like he was playing very wide for Sweden and he was getting into great positions where, he was on the wing, either running from the left into the box, or making crosses from the left. Getting good shots off. He didn't score, but he had a good few attempts. I just like I didn't watch the game, so I'm just I'm going off highlights that I saw. I'm sure he had other moments, but yeah, he looked good, man. He looked good. So this rumor I heard actually that I want to kind of there's a rumor going around that Atletico offered Arsenal a swap deal, which was Gyökeres plus 50 million for Alvarez. And there was a bit of debate on the timeline whether or not you would accept that or Arsenal would accept that. The report said that Arsenal said no, but that was the report was debunked as just a lie. Basically, it was made up, but it did give me can't even speak. it did have me thinking whether or not, that's a deal I would take. Would I do a deal which involved Alvarez coming our way and us giving Atletico, Gyökeres, and 50 million? And you know what? As much as I would love Alvarez at Arsenal, and as much as that might sound like a good deal, I wouldn't do it. I'm a strong believer, unless someone really, really, really has an absolutely diabolical first season to where, this player isn't who we thought they were at all. I'm really a big believer in, first season's grace and seeing what the player does in the second season. Right? I don't really do third season grace, but it's definitely second season grace. And I think Gyökeres 100% showed enough, in the, I believe, of 21 goals he scored, that we should definitely see what he does next season, regardless. And yeah, so I wouldn't do it. And that deal sounded fake when I heard it, but it was a guy on Spanish TV who actually said it out of his mouth. But apparently that guy is known for outlandish, fake rumors. So, I think that the internet took it with a pinch of salt. But no, I wouldn't do that. But even, DC, you mentioned Havertz. There's a rumor that Bayern Leverkusen, are looking at potentially bringing Havertz back. That is a deal that you know what it is with Havertz? So coming into this season, even looking at Havertz last pre-season when he got, he bulked up, he put on some size, he put on some muscle mass. I was really excited to see what this new version of Havertz would do. Then obviously he got injured. And then we didn't see him until the end of the season, in drips and drabs. And he contributed quite well in the drips and drabs. But I did want to see what, this new, bigger, stronger version of Havertz would do. And I'm still a bit eager to see what he would do for us next season, but at the same time, I'm very indifferent. Like, it's one of them players where if we sold Havertz, it's a weird one. No, if we sold Havertz, I wouldn't care too tough. As long as we get the right money for him, I wouldn't care too tough. If he stayed, I wouldn't care either. So he's one of them players where I'm indifferent. Like, if he stays, cool. If he goes, cool, kind of thing. I feel like between Marino and Gyökeres, and obviously bringing in another striker, we can definitely cover for what Havertz brings to the table. Maybe not 100%, but I think Marino covers a lot of what Havertz can do. And I think Gyökeres would definitely have a better second season, so we may not, we could potentially do without Havertz. But because there is a rumour that, Arsenal there will be a big sale this season. And by big, I mean, a key player, a player that, and not, when I say key, I don't mean, a Trossard or Martinelli or a Jesus, like someone who would be unexpected. So, a la an Odegaard or a Havertz or, a Gyökeres, for example. So yeah, Leverkusen potentially want to bring back Havertz. So we'll see about that. Has your thoughts changed on the Barcola links? I'm gonna get into that actually. Not really. You know what it is with Barcola? You see football like transfer rumors right now, and just football transfer rumors and the way that we've learned that Berta does business. Whereas I feel like Berta, like they report, Berta speaks to every target. So let's just say Arsenal have 5 or 6 left winger targets. He'll talk to every single target. He'll agree terms with every target, and he'll speak to every club about the price. So then we keep getting fed that Arsenal are in for this player. Arsenal are in for Somerville. Is it Tazalis? How you pronounce his name? Barcola, Rogers. There's a few others I've heard of. So it's like, and all the links in the report sound like, yeah, Arsenal actually. I'm like, no, Arsenal are not going to consider all these or buy all these players. It's it's Berta, lining all the ducks up, and then when he decides who he wants, boom, he strikes, right? So with Barcola, I think you know what it is. I don't want to let name brand, sway my decision. When I looked at the Tazalis, I can't lie. I YouTube Tazalis. I looked at his highlights, and obviously he's being billed as the Trossard replacement if Trossard leaves, right? And I think it's good based on the highlights I saw. I think it's good, right? And he seems like someone we're gonna get based off of the reports. So if it's Tazalis and Rodgers, because Rodgers is Arsenal's main target. Like, out of everyone that we're being linked with, we know that he's the one. So Rodgers is, for me, he already plays for Arsenal. Right? Rodgers is already an Arsenal player. Cool. So who's going to be that second left-sided player? Are Arsenal going to get Rodgers and Barcola in the same season? And let me stop being long-winded, DC. Let me ask you a question. I do want Barcola at Arsenal. He definitely would be my... if we're buying two players for the left, I'll take Rodgers and I'll take Barcola. I think Barcola definitely isn't the finished article, but I think he has the most potential out of everyone. And he's, I'm not going to lie, he's exciting. He's exciting. Not only because of how good he is, but his name, plays for France, PSG. I'm not excited about Tazalis because I don't know who Tazalis is, right? And that plays a part in it, right? I don't know who he is. So right now, I'm excited for Barcola because of who Barcola is and what I know of how he plays, right? But Tazalis looks good from the YouTubes I've watched, the highlights I've saw, the compilations I've seen in it. So yeah, I'm not sure, because you asked me what's changed. I'm not sure what I said before. If I said I wasn't for Barcola or I was, but I am for Barcola. But that's a big outlay though. That's a big outlay of money, because reports are saying that Villa want at least 80 million for Rodgers. Barcola will be about what? He's 100 million. Like, the thing is, both of these players could be 100 million players, right? Based off of the market, their age, etc. Are Arsenal going to outlay potentially 80 million a piece on those two? Right? There's so many reports that say Arsenal are in for Barcola and Rodgers, that the Tazalis signing doesn't affect Barcola and Rodgers, right? Like, it's hard to decipher what is true in regards to the rumours, but I doubt we're buying 3 players for the left, right? The truth, Barcola or Martinelli, don't see much difference personally. There's definitely a difference. Barcola runs with his head up to start with. And I think Barcola is definitely more skillful than Martinelli as well. I think he can finesse a ball better. Maybe has better decision making. He's taller. I'm not sure who's faster or stronger, but Barcola is more skillful. He's more skillful. He's more intricate, and he runs and he looks up. He runs and looks up. You know what I mean? You're giving a Greek brother a Portuguese name, but I'm more. What, Tazalis? Is that how you pronounce his name? Tazalis. But I'm more so keeping Martinelli and going for the Greek guy and Rodgers. So you want to keep Martinelli, sign Tazalis and Rodgers. So you want three options on the left. I know Rodgers can play in the 10. Okay, so is it a keep Martinelli? So is it a keep Martinelli rather than sign Barcola? Is that the vibe that you two are on, DC and the truth? Because there's actually been a lot of reports that Newcastle actually are looking at Trossard and Martinelli. I doubt they'll buy both of them, but I've heard that Trossard is close to Besiktas. Besiktas, how you say it? Besiktas. And Newcastle have looked at Martinelli. I've actually got tons of notes on my phone, so let me even look at some of them. But Martinelli, Barcola is not a level raiser. So Barcola is not a level raiser on Martinelli, or he's not a level raiser full stop. Because I definitely thought, and again, maybe you want a massive level. I don't think Barcola is 10 levels above Martinelli, no. Like, Kvaratskhelia will be 10 levels above Martinelli. I think Barcola is about 2 to 3 levels above Martinelli, which, in your opinion, might not be good enough, right? All signs are showing that Odegaard is going. I can't lie. So yeah, DC, you make a good point. So let me get into some of my notes, right? So, Sami Mokbel, BBC, he was on Latte Firm, and I've got a lot of quotes from him that I was going to go through, right? So he said, there have been some whispers over the summer that Arsenal might be interested in letting Martin Odegaard go for the right price, right? And I'm not going to lie, I'm all for it. I'm all for it because in the last he's had 2 poor seasons on the trot. He's been littered with injuries. And for the fact that someone who, was definitely Arteta's guy, he's the captain, the fact that Arsenal are willing to listen to offers for him, is telling. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm for it. No, I'm not forcing him out the door, but I'll definitely welcome a sale of Odegaard if it means that, Eze can get some life at 10, that Wanyeri can get some life at 10. DC, I really hope Wanyeri isn't leaving. All reports suggest that Arsenal are very open to selling Ethan Wanyeri, and I can't lie, I hate that idea. I said it last episode, I hate that idea, man. Like, Wanyeri had a great season last season. Like, it was literally like one of the best breakout seasons you can ask for from a young player. And for his second season after a breakout to go the way it did, it's like, you know what I mean? He's uber talented, man, and I just don't understand. I understand where he is in the hierarchy, and I understand that, where does he really fit in regards to getting like real game time, because that's what it is. Obviously, he can stay at Arsenal and he can be a bit part player, but I don't think he wants to be. Like, I think he wants to play a lot more regularly, and obviously, going back to the finances, he would be, as they say, pure profit. But if he does go, even though I don't want him to go, the money, I don't want the money to be small either. Like, I'm going to stand on this, man. We need about 60 M's for him, man. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear no 40 million, 45, even 50. Like, 60 plus. Like, he's 18 and he's a bad boy footballer. Like, I'll be annoyed, man. If we let him go, I'll be really annoyed. I can't lie. But everything suggests that he's going. You know what I mean? But what I think we should do, if it's been deemed that, there's no room for him in the squad, and like he's not going to get the type of game time he wants, then send him on loan. How many loans did Saliba go on before he came back to Arsenal? He went on quite a few, actually. I think he went on loan twice, if I'm not mistaken. Saliba went on loan twice. Let me even double check this. I'm pretty sure Saliba went on loan twice before coming back. And look at him now, a mainstay, right? And those loan spells didn't break his relationship with Arsenal, didn't break his chances at Arsenal. He came back from them loans. He did. He went on loan twice. So he came to Arsenal in 2019. He went on loan to Saint Etienne in the 1920 season, 12 appearances. Then he went on loan to Nice in 2021 and made 20 appearances. Then he came back to Arsenal in 2021. So he actually went on 2 loans. right? So I think the only difference with Saliba and Wanyeri is we bought Saliba, then he went on loan straight away, whereas Ethan's already been at the club for his whole entire life. So it's a bit of a different situation. Wanyeri probably definitely feels more like an Arsenal player than Saliba did when he was signed for Arsenal. So it's like Wanyeri will probably feel more unwanted than Saliba would have felt with his loans, which obviously plays a part in it. But it's sad to see, man. I can't lie, it's sad to see. This whole Wanyeri arc, him not being there when we won the league at Palace, him not even being around for that final stretch, him being in Marseille and having a terrible loan. Even at the parade, he was kind of low-key and just chilling. Like, maybe he didn't feel like, he really contributed to the title win, so he didn't over-celebrate, or maybe that's his personality. But I felt for him, to be fair. I felt for him, and I still do. But I'm really hoping it's a loan, man. It needs to be a loan. Like, there's no reason to sell him. Like, there's no reason to sell him at all. But yeah, let's get into some of these other transfer rumours. So yeah, all right, let's start. So we'll quickly do Barcola again, and we'll move on. So Sammy Motbell says, I think Arsenal wouldn't sign Morgan Rogers and Bradley Barcola in the same window, but never say never. Yeah, I've always thought, to be fair, even though these two players I'm about to mention aren't, Ronaldo and Messi, but the fact that Arsenal signed both Eze and Madueke tells me that they would sign both Rodgers and Barcola. Again, I'm not saying that Eze and Madueke are, prime R9 and Zidane, but just the fact that they purchased two young players, and I know Eze and Madueke didn't cost as much or won't cost as much as these two, but no one. If you rewind to last season, no one could have told me that Arsenal would have Madueke and Eze. Like, I would tell you that you're lying, because to me Madueke is a player that I never ever would have thought Arsenal would have signed. And even though Eze was always linked to us, I didn't think we would buy him. I didn't think he was an Arteta type of player. I couldn't envision Arsenal would actually go out and buy someone like Eze. So the fact that we have both of them, I can believe that we would sign Barcola and Rodgers. Obviously, the reports are saying that it's either or, but I think because Rodgers is more of a hybrid, as in he can play 10 and he can play on the wing. So I don't see Rodgers as he's the out and out first choice left wing signing. I see him as Rodgers is a versatile player to play in the front three, whereas Barcola is, the winger, the pacey winger that we need, right? So I see a world where we buy both of them, but I don't see a world where we buy those two and Gonzalez, even if that means that we sell Jesus, Martinelli, and Trossard. But we shall see. All right, next one. Arsenal are still working on Christos Gonzalez and Morgan Rogers, and they are confident, at least up to last Wednesday, that both deals will be completed. So if Gonzalez and Rogers are looking like they're both going to get done, then are they going to sign a third left-sided player? I'm not sure. He's also told that Somerville is on Arsenal's list for the summer also. Again, another player just on the list, right? He's on the list, but it doesn't mean that we're going to buy him. I don't even like the fact that, every player on Arsenal's list gets leaked. I don't want to know that Arsenal are in for all these players. It's annoying because we're not going to sign all of them. So it's like, all I want to know is I want to know the players that we're actually going to sign, not that we're talking to or this player's on the list. It's kind of jarring. What should I get into next? All right, back to Ethan. So again, this is Sammy Motbell. I don't think he will. When asked, do you think Ethan will be at Arsenal next season? I don't think he will. There is a will from Arsenal too. At the very least, listen to offers. I think he will want regular football next season, and I'm not sure he fits in. Where he fits in, sorry. Yeah, that's from Sammy Mockbell. We just discussed that. Arsenal will listen to offers for I guarantee you, but I think a loan will be best. I think a loan will be best, but we'll see with Ethan. Odegaard, Barcola. Back to Ethan, actually. Another report I saw was that Newcastle are actually leading the race for Wanyeri. Right, so that's 3 players linked with Newcastle. That's Trossard, that's Martinelli, that's Ethan. If I had to pick one of those 3 who I could see in a Newcastle shirt, I would say Martinelli, probably. Martinelli strikes me as the Newcastle S player. All right, another report I saw. Arsenal made contact with the reps of Igor Thiago, the Brazilian striker for Brentford. That was surprising because I know obviously there was reports that we were in for, or we were looking at a striker, and Krupi was obviously the striker that was on everyone's lips before, but the Krupi links have gone completely cold. I haven't heard Krupi's name in any transfer links discussions for a while. But it's interesting that Arsenal would inquire about Igor Thiago. It doesn't strike me as a profile that we necessarily need, right? I guess him and Gyökeres are kind of the same kind of profile. The truth is saying Gyökeres needs to go by any means. Did you see him yesterday against Netherlands? Also, I don't think you guys understand. Arsenal not selling a player like that after one season. Like, you seem to look past how someone played, look past just all the fanfare. Look at it from like a club standpoint. Arsenal not going to sign a player and sell him the next season. It's just not going to happen. So, as bad as people think Gyökeres was or Madueke was or whatever, they're not going anywhere. The only way they're going anywhere is if someone comes in with a massive offer, but we're not selling Gyökeres. We're not selling a striker who scored 21 goals in all comps the next season. He's not getting sold. So if we're looking at Igor Thiago, it's most likely because Jesus is going. It's not because Gyökeres is going, right? So remember, even on Jesus actually, the report is that if Arsenal don't get at least 18 to 20 million for Jesus, and he can stay and see out his contract and just be a impact player next season. So, and I don't think I haven't seen any reports or any rumours about any clubs linked with Jesus. So if Arsenal finally want to get rid of the trope of them being bad sellers, which we are, right? Terrible, the worst sellers in football. I don't understand it, right? And for us to get rid of that narrative and that stigma, we have to start standing firm. So if it means that you can't get this player unless you give us what we want, then he's not for sale, right? He's not for sale. So that shows that Arsenal don't need the money then, because it's not about the money at that point. If you're willing to let Jesus leave for free, as opposed to taking, 15 mil, 12 mil for him, then you don't need the money. It's about principle, right? We need to start setting a standard that you can't lowball us for our players. So if you don't get 20 million for Jesus, he'll stay, see out his contract, and leave for free. So it ain't about money with Jesus. It's clearly not about money. It's clearly about a principle and standards, and Arsenal finally trying to change the way clubs see them, right? But if they're inquiring for Igor Thiago, it means that either Jesus or Havertz might leave, because I definitely know it ain't Gyökeres for sure. But would you guys welcome Igor Thiago? He's not someone that I would think would be an Arsenal player or someone that would be on Arsenal's list. So that link definitely surprised me. Also, the I think Somerville link surprised me as well. So Arsenal are among the clubs to have joined the race to sign. I don't even know how to pronounce his surname, so I won't even try. Somerville, 24. With PSG also following his situation very closely, West Ham had valued Somerville at 50 million, but that is now expected to rise after his performance at the World Cup. So yeah, he's looked good to be fair, but it's a no from me. It's a no from me. I think who Arsenal have interest in is just everyone just are speculating, and it's been leaked who we're looking at. But I think the strong links are the ones. I think it's a Rodgers and a Tazales and or a Barcola. That's what I think. One of those, two of them, three players will be Arsenal players in my opinion. That's what I think. I think it'll be Rodgers and Tazales, Rodgers and Barcola, Rodgers and someone else basically. So that's what it's looking like. So yeah, United as well actually. So Man United and Arsenal are competing. Well, this report says that we're competing. So Man United and Arsenal are competing for the 69 million signing of Brentford striker Igor Thiago. 69 million. How old is Igor Thiago? Because he looks kind of old. 69 M's. Igor Thiago he's 24. No way. Igor Thiago is 24. I thought he was a big man. I thought Igor Thiago was like a veteran striker who just finally got his break. He's 24. Well, he's 26 on Friday. Happy birthday in advance. I'm shocked by that, to be fair. He doesn't seem like a 24-year-old at all. You see, PR is so important, Like, he has old man PR. He looks like an old man, he moves like an old man, but he's 24 years old. That's the same with Brian and Bremer. The fact that he's much younger than he looks because he's bold as well. I think being bold definitely contributes because Igor Thiago's bold. Or is bold in these pictures anyway. Brian Bremer is way younger than he appears to be. There's pictures of him like with a proper level 1, fade and that, and he looks way younger. But with the bald head, he looks way older. But I'm shocked at that. I'm shocked Igor Thiago's 24. That's mad. That's madness. All right. What else do we have? All right, I want to talk about quickly. We'll get back to Arsenal in a second, but I want to talk about. I want you guys' thoughts on this. So Jeremy Doku, right, is currently at the World Cup, playing for Belgium, right. Also, I just heard he's gonna sign a new contract with Man City till 2031. But yeah, Jeremy Doku has been criticised for saying that he wants to leave the Belgium's World Cup camp to be by his wife's side while she gives birth to their first child. And he's come across, it's not widespread, it's from one or two journalists or one or two reporters kind of criticising him for that decision. My thoughts are, or even just put myself in his position, if I'm at the World Cup and I'm a key player, because he is a key player for his team, but my wife is giving birth to my first child, or our first child, would I leave the World Cup camp to be by her side and come back? Because he wants to come back. He wants to go and come back. I'm at the World Cup. Yeah, I'll leave. Like, your first child is a big deal, man. You know what I mean? And obviously, it means more to others, to some people, to some men, they might prefer to be at the World Cup and, but that's your first ever child. You're never going to have a first child again. And the fact that it's the World Cup, it's a tournament. It's not like he's missing a one-off game. He's not, you know what I mean? It's not like he's missing the Champions League final or the World Cup final to be by his wife's side. He's leaving the tournament in the group stages, and then come back, or hopefully come back if Netherlands are still in it. I don't think it's a big deal, to be fair. But the backlash he received from a few reporters that they were calling his decision disgusting. Someone said, oh, so you want to leave the World Cup just to go and cut someone's umbilical cord? Like, they just made light of it, right? But the male reporter, the man, I can't remember his name. He said it was disgusting. Like, it's a disgusting decision. Or I'm like, disgusting. Is that the word to use for this? Disgusting. That's madness. Like, the man wants to be with his wife while she gives birth to his first child. That's a very noble, I guess maybe selfless thing to do if you're at the World Cup, I guess. But, you know, it's family. Like, football's not that serious. It is serious, but it ain't that serious. So I think the backlash he received from, you know, a few reporters was very unwarranted. Shout out to Doku, man. Go and see your babes. All right, next thing I want to talk about is the Chalobah call-up for England. So who was it that got injured? Livramento, right? Livramento got injured, and Tuchel called up his old pal Chalobah, who I really don't like with short hair. I cannot look at him properly. Like, I just see when people have a certain hairstyle, and that's their hairstyle in your mind, and then they change it, and you just can't see him the same. I don't like looking at Chalobah with no. What he had? They had locks or dreads. The short back and side Chalobah. I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it. So my thoughts are this. All right, I got a lot of thoughts on this. So if you're Maguire, right, and you're Trent, and you're who else? What other defenders didn't get picked? Is Luke Shaw going? Luke Shaw didn't get picked, right? Either way, if you're Maguire and Trent, right? If Tuchel calls you and tells you, right, I'm not picking you for these reasons, yeah, then if Livramento is injured, then the reasons why Tuchel didn't pick you, those reasons still apply. So if I'm Tuchel and I already told Maguire and I already told Trent that I'm not picking you for XYZ reasons, right, and Maguire and Trent might have felt aggrieved by these reasons, right? If someone gets injured, do you, from two standpoints, from a player standpoint, do you really want to be called up now? You didn't want me before. You called me and said, I'm not in the squad because XYZ. Now someone's injured, now come and play. But you didn't want me before. So from a player standpoint, let's be honest here. From a player standpoint, do you want to now be picked on a reserve team because someone's injured when the manager told you that he didn't pick you for XYZ reason, or you're not in the squad, right? I'm not gonna lie. If I'm someone like Maguire, and you know I'm expected to go to the World Cup, and I didn't get picked, and there was a whole hoopla online, and even just forget online, just even for me personally, you know, if I felt aggrieved by it, I don't want the pity call up. I don't want the, you know what, Livramento's injured, so you know what, now you can come. No, man, I've already made plans for the summer, big man. I've already made plans. I'm not coming to the World Cup. It's done. Like, I'm over it, by the way. I'm over it. I'm not coming. So that's that. That's from the player's standpoint. From the manager's standpoint, he's already decided that he didn't want Trent or Maguire and Luke Shaw, whoever else didn't get picked, right? And that was with, you know, all the variables considered. Livramento being injured doesn't mean now he wants Maguire or Trent. He still don't want them, right? Now let's go on to Chalobah, right? The reports are that there was a deadline. Right? 'Cause remember, the World Cup already started. There was a deadline that all teams have to abide by to replace any players because of injury. right? So they had to be quick. This is my theory, by the way. No, not it's not. It's not my theory that this was the case. This was the case, but my theory as to why they picked Chalobah specifically. Chalobah was already in America. He was in New York. So I'm not sure where. No, the England team were either in Miami or somewhere in the south. Anyway, I think Dallas or somewhere. So maybe Chalobah was picked because he was local, and he could. I mean, he could get to the camp to register or to wherever in time, because Chalobah's not playing. I don't think Chalobah's playing, right? But they had to register a player or risk losing a position. And obviously, if he's there, at least he's a body in case. But I don't think he's playing. If he's playing, garbage minutes at the end. But yeah, I think Chalobah, one, obviously he's Tuchel's ex-player, if I'm not mistaken, right? He did play under Tuchel for Chelsea, for one, and he was local. He was in the area. You know what I mean? He was in the area. So let me even see what he said, right? So this is what Chalobah said. I was literally in Times Square. I went to the shops to get something. It was when I got back to my hotel. I saw Thomas Tuchel. I had text, but it was 2 hours before. I didn't see the message for 2 hours. I wasn't on my phone. I was walking around the city, got back to the hotel, looked at my phone, and he had asked me if I could call him. My heart just dropped. We spoke on FaceTime, and he broke the news to me. I was just over the moon. Right? So he was local, man. I'm trying to think. If not Chalobah, who else could he have called up that he didn't really call and say? Because he didn't. I doubt he. Maybe I'm looking at the way things are. You don't call up everybody who's eligible for the World Cup and say I haven't picked you, right? You only, I don't know how does it work? Because you don't call everyone and say, yo, you're not coming, right? You only pick those who maybe there's another round where there's a bigger pool. Then out of that pool you pick the actual squad. Because what basically I'm saying is, did Chalobah get the call initially that you're not being selected for the World Cup, or was he not even called in the first place? I don't think he was even called in the first place to say you're not coming. Either way, I think Chalobah is definitely the type of player who would still go even if he was told prior that he wasn't selected. But I don't think he was even called to say you're not coming before. I don't think Chalobah was even in contention to be picked for the World Cup. So wasn't told he wasn't coming. He just wasn't, you know what I mean? The same way Ethan Wanyeri wasn't told he's not getting to the World Cup. Like, he already knew he wasn't in contention. But yeah, the truth, you agree with me? I like that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But he won't play. He won't play. All right, another link I saw, and I want you guys' thoughts on this. Rashford to Arsenal. We've been linked with every left-sided player under the sun, right? I don't see how we get all this all this done. But would you guys take Rashford at Arsenal? It's even a hard question to ask because taking him means you don't get a Barcola or a Tazales. So would you guys take Rodgers and Rashford, for example? Right? Is that something that would interest you? For me personally, would I take Rashford instead of a Barcola or a Tazales? No. Rashford excites me on a purely name brand point of view, and also the fact that he is an ex-Man United player, and I would love to take a Man United player and win the league or be successful with that player. That's it. Rashford excites me for that reason, because name brand, obviously he is good, but more so because of who he is, right? Like, if we signed him, it'll be exciting. Like, Rashford, ex-United, playing for Arsenal, he's still he's still very good, but nah, I wouldn't take him. I would definitely prefer Barcola. 100%. What else do I have here? All right, back to Odegaard for a second. You know who I think Odegaard suits? I think he suits like Inter Milan. Like Inter Milan, like a Bayern. I see him at Bayern. I see him at Inter. Yeah. The thing is, I feel like we will have a big exit, right? And I think it is likely to be Odegaard, right? But that's if a club comes in for him though, and even though he's had 2 bad seasons, I still think we get a decent penny for him though. I can't lie. Like recent former sides, Odegaard. I need about 60 million for Odegaard. You guys might think my estimations are too high for these players, but like Arsenal are, I'm tired of the way we get bumped for players. Odegaard is 27. He'll be 28 at the end of the year. He's a Premier League champion, all right? Let's look at his stats. Are terrible though. Stats are terrible. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So in the last 2 years in the Premier League, he scored 4 goals in 2 years. So 24-25, 30 appearances. This is just in the league. 30 appearances in the league, 3 goals, 8 assists. 8 assists, fair. Last season, or this season, 24 appearances, 1 goal, 6 assists. Assists aren't too shabby. Who's Regard? Oh, Odegaard, sorry. There's one more player I need to get to actually. What's his face? Moroccan, 18-year-old. Is it Ayub? Ayub. How you say his name? But I'll get back to him in a second. Champions League, 8 appearances, no goals. Last season, 11 appearances, 3 goals. But it's the league form that counts the most, right? So club captain in the last 2 years. And injuries aside, you know, in the last 2 years, you've played 54 league games and you scored 4 goals. It's insane. It's insane. So, yeah, I think Odegaard's time's up. I would love Odegaard to go, and then our 10 options to be Eze, Rodgers, and Ethan Ranieri. Right? And even you've seen him experiment with Saka there, and you know, I think we got enough. I think we got enough to make up for his absence. So I would definitely welcome that exit. But yeah, back to what's his name? Ayub. Let me get his name right, man. Because his links are strong. I feel like he's going to be a certain signing. Ayub Bouadi. Yeah. Ayub Bouadi, 18 years old, Moroccan midfielder, plays as like a 6, very neat on the ball. So yeah, a lot of speculation about him. He seems like he's, you know, along with Rodgers, one of our main targets. I feel like that's going to get done based on what I've read. So I feel like Kim, Rodgers are like 2 players that we're definitely going to get in, and outside of them, I think it's a flip of a coin. To be fair, I don't like the fact that he's so young. I don't know. I'm kind of against buying young players, but he seems like, despite his age, you know, he's a good player, a very good player to be fair. And even at his age, he's ready for the big time. Reminds me of Guendouzi a bit because of his hair and his age and his position. A lot of similarities in that regard. But yeah, Also, being 18 helps because, at 18 you won't expect, all the minutes in the world because he'll definitely be behind, Zubimendi and Rice. No one at Arsenal works harder than Yeah, no, Odegaard is a pressing machine, 100%. But we need more than that, though. You know what I mean? And don't forget, his injury record is poor, right? This season he was very unlucky, I was going to say, especially with the shoulder injuries, but, hasn't been great. DC said we've just outgrown him and his style of play. I wouldn't say that, I would say, I personally feel like he's just stopped doing what he's good at, right? Like, he doesn't really take shots from outside the box, like he did in prior seasons. I know, I feel like with Odegaard, I don't think that we've outgrown his style of play yet. I think he's just not playing to the best of his ability, and this hasn't been for a long time. You know what I mean? I think he still fits into how we play. He's one of the key cogs in how we play, especially, off the ball. But I just think he himself is just, for whatever reason, remember last season he's just had a child, sleepless nights, adjusting to fatherhood, and that's the reason why he's been off. Remember, that was the whole narrative last season. This season, it's the injuries and just whatever else is going on. But I just feel like he's had a bad 2-year spell, and maybe it's time to move on. Who knows? Maybe next season might be, one for the ages. But do we have the patience to wait? And I feel like his inclusion will hinder, that of Eze, that of Wanyeri potentially. So is keeping Odegaard, the best decision if it's going to be to the detriment of other players, right? And I want to see Eze get a proper run at the 10 next season, like where he's the first choice, right? And if Odegaard stays, it's going to be again, especially if Rodgers comes in. Like, it's to be fair, I don't see an Arsenal where we have Eze, Odegaard, and Rodgers. I don't see it. Especially, obviously, Rodgers is being billed as a left-sided player, but I think he'll accommodate. If we put it this way, if we buy Barcola and Tazales, or just one of the two, are those one of those two coming in to start on the left or to be benched? I think Tazales will definitely be, an impact sub or off the bench. I think Barcola comes to start, if I'm honest. Right, so where does that leave Rodgers? On the left, in the middle, as a 10. Then this, I don't think it's going to be, a 3-man juggle out of Eze, Odegaard, and Rodgers next season to play 10. I think it's going to be one. It's going to be 2 out of 3. So I think Odegaard probably goes if, someone comes in for him. That's dependent on that. We can want him to leave or think he's ready to leave, or we like, but if no one signs him, then I guess he's staying. Back to basketball for a second as well. Also, guys, don't forget to like. If you're in the room, if you're watching the stream, please hit like. Let's get the likes up. Also, drop a comment as well. Back to basketball real quick. So, the NBA draft is, I believe, tomorrow or sometime this week. Either way, the Bucks have said that they want to trade Giannis before the NBA draft, right? And the two main teams who are in contention to get Giannis are the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat. And I haven't seen a report on what the Miami Heat's package for Giannis would be, but on Boston's side, the report is that it will be, Jaylen Brown would be, the main piece to move, whether it be to Milwaukee or a 3-team trade that takes Jaylen Brown elsewhere. I did see one mock trade that sends Jaylen Brown to the Clippers, and Giannis to Boston, and then the Clippers would end up getting. No, there's another team involved actually. Sorry, the Bucks. Obviously, the Bucks are involved. The Bucks would get like header picks and stuff. But yeah, my personal preference would be, I don't know, Giannis on the Celtics just feels weird to me, man. Giannis and Tatum just feels like a weird fit. I want to see Giannis in Miami. I prefer that, but I'm not sure what Miami's given up for Giannis. But Giannis and Bam, who's on Miami's roster actually? Let me have a look. But yeah, the idea of Giannis playing for the Celtics just seems weird. What am I doing? I'm typing in Giannis. I'm meant to be typing in the Heat. Miami Heat. What's the Heat's roster saying? Miami Heat. I need that roster, man. I need that roster. Let's go. All right, they got Bam. I'm only going to name players I know, to be fair. Tyler Hero. In terms of players they could package for him, obviously they got Hero still. Norman Powell. Oh, they got Andrew Wiggins. All right, forgot about him. All right, they got Andrew Wiggins. They ain't really got any assets anymore. So you got Bam, you got Tyler Hero, you got Wiggins, and you got Norman Powell, really, in terms of names. And you got, a bunch of young players. If it was player for player, who could they send? I think it'll probably have to be Tyler Hero and a couple other role players and some picks if he's going to Miami. And then you keep Wiggins. I guess you keep Wiggins. If he goes to the Heat, Bam will be a part of the trade, I think. You think so? I don't know. Sending, I think that defeats the purpose. I think trading Bam for Giannis defeats the purpose of the trade, in my opinion. I think you trade for Giannis so he plays with Bam. You don't get rid of, because to me then you're starting again. All right, if you've got a good base, you want to add to your base. You don't give away the base, which is Bam. You keep Bam, you trade maybe a Wiggins or you trade a Hero. Like trading Bam is insane. It's insane. Giannis is a big pay package. To be fair, I'm not sure how it works salary wise. So maybe I'm mistaken in regards to salary, but just based off of players, I don't think you trade Bam for Giannis. I think you make a package of picks, some role players, and maybe a Wiggins or a Hero. Or maybe you get another team involved and work it out that way. I think Boston have the best player for player swap. Because you could do a straight up Brown for Giannis. Boom. Bob's your uncle. Right? But I wouldn't imagine Jaylen Brown wants to play for the Bucks. So that's where the report I've read that, there have to be a third team, which would be a preferred destination for Brown. I'm not sure how much chips Brown holds in this at all, but he could definitely request. If he knows he's being lined up, he could definitely request, if you guys are gonna trade me, please trade me somewhere where I want to go at least, right? And I feel like the Celtics owe him that, you know what I mean? So we'll see where he ends up, man. But exciting though. I'm excited to see that because Giannis is one of them players where he's been at obviously one franchise for his whole career, so it'll be exciting to see him, play somewhere else. I would have hoped it would have been at a different destination than those two, to be fair. I would have loved Giannis to play for the Lakers, to play with Luka and be LeBron's replacement. I would have loved for the Knicks to trade for Giannis. I think if the Knicks lost to the Spurs, I definitely think they would have traded for Giannis 100%. But I do feel like the Knicks are determined to keep this core together. Like they want to, they don't want to blow up a team that just won. So I don't see the Knicks going in for him at all. But yeah, so for me, the Lakers. You know where I could see Giannis? Toronto, actually, on a Kawhi type of vibe where, you come in as the star and elevate those around you, and then you guys go on a great run. I can see him playing for. I can see my Raptors. Golden State as well. I could see. The truth, would you, based off of what's happening right now? So obviously, Knicks just won, right? So everyone's on a high, right? Everyone's on a high. Everyone's elated, right? As Knicks ownership, would you say, you know what? I don't give a damn that we just won. Like, no, I care that we just won, but I'm not letting us winning stop me from making, a trade to potentially improve this team. Yes, this team just won a championship, but can we get better? Can we potentially go back to back? Right? Can we potentially three-peat? Like, remember, no team's gone back to back for maybe over a decade, right? The last team to go back to back was Golden State. I can't remember what year it was. So yeah, if you're the Knicks, you just won your first NBA championship since, the 70s, right? Your first final since 1999. Are you ruthless in this moment? So you know what? Remember, no team has gone back to back for time. So the likelihood of the Knicks winning next season is low, based off of the pattern that's happened in the NBA recently. That no team's gone back to back. So the chances are the Knicks aren't going to go back to back, right? They could, but it's unlikely. How do you change that? How do you improve your odds of winning back to back? It might be to trade for Giannis, right? But that's gonna be, obviously that'll be deemed a certain way, or it'll look a certain way, right? Because okay, cool. Who do you trade for Giannis, right? If you're the Knicks, if you're James Dolan, who do you trade for Giannis, right? Let's put together a package. Obviously, Jaylen Brown's untouchable, right? For me personally, actually no, before I even get into that player, OG and Anunoby, untouchable, right? Then there's reports that they can't even keep Şengün and Mitchell Robinson anyway, right? Because of cap space. But let's put them in the pot, right? Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, Cat. Cat's the big piece. Cat's the big fish out of the rest, because Jalen, OG, untouchable over here. Hart, Cat, and Mikal Bridges, right? You're going to have to give up maybe two of those for Giannis, right? So and Cat is the main piece. So Cat's going, right? If Giannis is coming in, Cat's going, right? So Cat is the centerpiece of this trade idea, right? You're probably gonna have to give some picks too. So it might be Cat, first round pick, future second round, protected, pick swaps, all the hoopla with the picks, right? What key second player, what starter do you add to that package for Giannis? Is it Josh Hart, right? Or is it Mikal Bridges? Right? Either way, you're sending away one of the Villanova boys, right? One of the Villanova Knicks. For me personally, I'm gonna keep Josh Hart, even though I think Mikal Bridges is a better player because of what he seems to mean to the Knicks, right? Just his hustle, his work ethic. So Bridges and Cat and whatever else they want to add in, little extras for Giannis, right? So then next season you're looking at Jalen Brown. Sorry, I said Jalen Brown. Jalen Brunson, OG, Hart, Giannis, and then you'd have to get in another starter, right? Because I don't think anyone from the bench is then promoted to the starting five. I think you go out and you get another player. For sentimental reasons and for like just, you know, the fact that they just won, it'll be madness, to be fair, for them to. I think it'll be blockbuster for a team to have won the chip, then to just trade away two of their starting five from that team for Giannis would be insane. But just for the cinema of it, I'd love to see it happen. I can't lie. I would love to see it happen. I don't think it will. It won't, to be fair. It's not going to happen, but, you know, one can dream. But the Knicks' chances next season of repeating are bleak. What are you guys saying? The truth, it depends on who they have to give up. If they give Cat and one other player, it will work. Yeah. Toronto is in a good spot, but we need a real center. Oh, are you? I keep forgetting what's fan. So, are you a Toronto fan, DC? Because you said we. Excuse me. But to be fair, this is going to be wrapped up in the next 24 anyway. So we'll find out where Giannis goes, because this trade reportedly will happen very, very soon. All right, let me find some of my other notes. What's you guys' thoughts on Spurs going in for Sandro Tonali? I'm shocked, I can't lie. For a team that almost just got relegated, Spurs are really, you know, puffing out their chest. And it looks like he might go. He's open. I think it's De Zerbi, you know. You know, the manager can play a massive role in what players want to go to a club. Because for Tonali to want to go to Spurs after he almost got relegated is crazy, but I think the De Zerbi factor is a massive factor. So this report says Sandro Tonali is open to joining up with Roberto De Zerbi at Tottenham, but Arsenal are understood to be his preference should they firm up their interest. I don't think we're going to get Tonali. I don't think we're that interested in him at that price. So if Spurs want him, Spurs can have him, to be fair. Why doesn't anyone want Tonali? I don't think it's a fact that people don't want Tonali. I think it's the price tag. I think it's the price tag that Newcastle want for him. Newcastle asking for like 100 million, right? It is. The transfer market it's a mess. It's actually a mess. You know, especially like the Declan Rices and the Caicedos aside, right? I don't think there's any. I'm trying to think. £100 million, €100 million midfielders, like true in the world right now. Like not based off, you know, inflated prices or, you know. Sandro Tonali is not 100. Like people are treating £100 million nowadays like it's just anything. Like that's not his. He's not worth 100 million. But the market is just messed up, right? Like who right now is worth 100 million, right? I don't think Declan Rice is either right now. He was before, but he isn't now because he's aged a bit. Caicedo, Enzo. I'm trying to think who Brown, Tchouameni. Nah. So yeah, to answer your question, the truth, I don't think it's a case of teams not wanting Tonali. I think it's the fact that Newcastle have, set quite a high bar on his price that are putting teams off. I said eggs cost £4 for 6, bro. The economy's in the bin. Listen, bro, you see eggs. We can do a whole topic on eggs, man. Eggs, the price of eggs are mad, to be fair. But the best eggs you can get, I'm not sure where you guys shop though, but the best eggs, price-wise, Tesco do a 6 medium eggs for £2, I believe it is. Is it £2? Is it £2? Or is it £1? I think it's £1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Tesco's do, was it 150? My memory's gone, man. But yeah, no, Tesco's do a little 6-pack for like £1, I believe. So I just go in and just grab a couple of those. But at least the petrol prices have come down now. I mean, they've come down to like, well, I'm diesel, but they've come down to like 160 something. But yeah, the economy's in the bin. But I digress. It's not sure about eggs. Yeah, Spurs can have them, to be fair. I'm not that pressed about our midfield. Like, I would happily go in the next season with Marino, Zubimendi, and Rice as the, the 6 or the deeper midfielders, to be fair. With, Eze, Rogers, Ranieri as the 8s and stuff, the more attacking players. Where are you getting diesel for? Listen, I'm gonna put everyone onto game right now, right? So depending on where you live in it, if you don't live in East, then this is not gonna help you. But the Tesco's, maybe I shouldn't say this because it's gonna make the prices go up. No, I'm joking. The Tesco petrol station on the Bow roundabout near the McDonald's, right? So the Bow roundabout near the flyover, right? There's a Tesco's, the Bromley by Bow Tesco's. That petrol station is my go-to cheap petrol station. When I compare it to the others in the area, like I compare it to, again, if you're, I'm not even from East, but I live in East. When I compare that Tesco to the one in Galleon's Reach, or the other ones in the area, wait. DC, you've opened up a discussion here, right? You can't do supermarket petrol. Are you telling me that this whole time there's been is there a taste level with petrol? Right? Is it Shell and BP are up here and Tesco's and Sainsbury's are down here? Is it frowned upon to get your diesel and your petrol from a supermarket? Because that your message is implying that. You're the first person in my entire life that I've seen say they can't do supermarket petrol. You love your car engine, that's why. Talk to me. I'm not a car connoisseur. So are you implying that supermarket petrol / diesel is of a lower quality than you'll get from a Shell, a BP, or what's the other one? Texaco, right? My mum bought diesel from Morrison's for 2 years and her car is To be fair, I've always done supermarket petrol or diesel, and my cars have always been fine. So maybe it was the car, DC, because I've had no issues. You think? Listen, man. Do you think? You know why, DC? Because you're a rich man. You're a rich man. You saying I do BP and Shell only is you saying I do Selfridges and Harrods only. I do M&S and Waitrose only. That's what you're saying. Because there's no way in hell I'm going. Do you see when petrol was mad high about a month ago? Do you think I'm going to Shell and paying £2 a litre? No. I'm going to Tesco's and getting it at 180, 170, whatever it was. You're a money man. I'm not a money man, clearly. Because BP and Shell only. Nah, you either love cars or you're just a money man. Because there's no way. There's no way, bruv. Morrison's is the worst. Nah, I don't do Morrison's, to be fair, but I would. I don't go. Best for money is Tesco's. I'm a rich man, inshallah. I'm waiting. But yeah, no. Inshallah, you're a rich man. Inshallah, DC. Inshallah, we're all rich, right? But even as a rich man, I would still be getting Tesco's, because prior to this conversation, I never knew there was a hierarchy with petrol. I never knew that, the quality of petrol at Shell, was worse. Sorry, was better than the quality at Tesco, because I'm not looking like this, right? I'm not looking at, like, see if you go to Tesco's and you got Tesco brand food, right? You've got your name brand food, you got Tesco brand food, right? I never looked at Tesco petrol as Tesco brand petrol, right? It's like I never looked at the petrol as branded. You know what I mean? No, this is a topic for today, my friend. Forget football. There's more important things in the world, right? You're telling me that Shell and BP, that's a name brand petrol, and that Tesco petrol, as the petrol, Morrison's petrol is store brand? Why do I think there's a price difference? I don't think it was down to quality. I thought it was down to, if I'm being honest, I didn't even think about it. Now that you asked me, it's like, okay, cool, that makes sense. But it didn't even cross my mind. It crossed my mind to the point where I just thought, you know what? Yeah, I didn't think about it. I'll be honest with you, I never in my entire life thought about it. You might think that's weird, but I never have. I've never in my entire life thought about the quality of the petrol until today. And if I did think about the quality, once upon a time when I was younger, or when I first started driving, for example, I never thought the discrepancy would be vast to where, it's that apparent. I remember, I'm not really a car man. You know what I mean? Like, I drive, but I'm not into cars. So I don't think about stuff like how this petrol affects my engine. Like, I don't think about that stuff. I never have. Shell, I was in Nigeria, speaks volumes. Yeah, you guys have put me on to something new today, man. The quality of petrol. See, I can't even buy petrol in the same vein anymore. Like, whenever I go to Tesco's, I'm gonna carry on going. When I go to Tesco, I'm like, I'm getting Tesco brand petrol. I'm getting low quality petrol. Like, this is madness. This is a madness. You guys are telling me that I've been buying cheap petrol my whole entire life. This is crazy, DC. Crazy. I've been putting. And the thing is, I've only even driven nice cars, to be fair. I've only ever had BMWs and Mercedes. My first ever car was actually a BMW 1 Series. Shout out to my dad, actually. He forced me to get that car. We went to Car Giant. I wanted to do a nice little humble. I was looking to get an Alfa Romeo. I wanted something just cheap. My dad, typical Nigerian man, is pushing me to get a BM, pushing me to. I'm paying for this car, by the way. Like, end up getting a blue 1 Series. This is back in the day as well. This is early doors when 1 Series weren't really on the roads. Listen, I felt like a king. You see nowadays, if you see 1 Series nowadays, no one's batting an eyelid at a 1 Series. No one's even looking left or looking right. This is going to show you how long ago I had a 1 Series. When I had a 1 Series, it was a head turner. This is when 1 Series used to be a head turner. Like, you'll get looks from people driving the 1 Series. That's how long ago I had that car. Since then, I've just had Mercedes. I haven't had anything else. So I've been putting trash petrol into trash diesel into my German whips. Sad times. All right, as we're off topic, right, there's one other off-topic convo I want to have, right, if you guys would amuse me during this conversation. All right, so we're off football, we're off basketball, we're off diesel, right? Put name brand diesel and notice a difference in how your car drives. All right, cool. Before we get on to my next topic that I want to quickly discuss, you see this statement here, and I guess I wouldn't know until I change my petrol and feel the difference. But you see when you say, change the petrol or diesel and see how your car, how it drives, how it feels. Again, you sound like a car man. And I guess if I changed my diesel and drove, I'd be like, oh shit, this feels different, yada. But how does my car feel different? You know what I mean? Like, what's different? Like, tell me, what's the difference between, like, explain to me like a 5-year-old child how the varying qualities of diesel affects the way the car drives, if you don't mind. While you type that out, I will get on to my last topic. All right. Remember, this is the reaction show, right? It's not just reacting about sports. It's reacting about whatever I feel like I want to react to, right? You guys are still in the petrol. Get the premium Tesco and you feel the difference. My Tesco's, or even all Tesco's I've been to, they only have 3 pumps. One is diesel and the other is, I guess, premium petrol and regular petrol. They don't have premium diesel at any Tesco's I've been to, because they only have 3 nozzles, black and 2 green, right? So I don't know if Tesco's do premium diesel. But yeah. All right. B2K versus Pretty Ricky in a versus. What are you man saying? Is this a topic that interests you? Either way, I'm talking about it quickly. So yeah, it's going down on the 25th. You got B2K, famed 2000s boy group versus Pretty Ricky. I think this is a pretty one-sided affair, but this could end up being like a Locks versus Dipset, where you would think on paper that Dipset would have it, but the Locks took it because they prepared better set list, worked better together as a unit, and just, made their songs work for them. But I went through, obviously I've never been not obviously, but I'm not a massive Pretty Ricky fan. I'm a huge, well not huge, but I'm a B2K fan. I'm enough of a fan, to be fair, to know their work, right? With Pretty Ricky, I went through their Apple Essentials, yeah, because that's going to be their most popular songs, most known songs, right? I only actually know 5 Pretty Ricky songs. Grind With Me, On the Hotline, Love Like Honey, Your Body, and Shorty Be Mine. That's it. I don't actually know any other any other Pretty Ricky songs. And even with that being said, those are their best 5 anyway, even without me knowing. I'm sure they're going to have deep cuts, album cuts that, fans will know for sure, right? But Versus is a lot about, the general public and the casual fans, right? And I'm a very good representation of a casual fan, right? To be fair, I'm not a typical casual fan because I'm a music head, but I think I'm a good, way to gauge this because I know enough about Pretty Ricky to, understand who they are, what they have in their catalogue, even though I don't know their catalogue well. And they could take some rounds with these 5, I can't lie, right? They can, Hotline's going to be hard to go against. Shorty Be Mine. Even Your Body's a nice bop. But B2K have an absolute arsenal of songs. I don't think either team has 20, no. I don't think B2K even have a strong 20. Let's see. B2K, Bump Bump Bump, of course. Bada Boom, Girlfriend, Gots to Be, Why I Love You, What a Girl Wants, Baby Girls, dope. That's not 20. So their Apple Essentials is only 12 songs, and I just named about 9 of them. So neither, obviously, again, they can go into. I'm not sure if Omarion can play his solo songs. I'm not sure if this is just B2K songs. If it's B2K and Omarion, then cool. Omarion can make up the numbers with his solo catalog. And on the other end, Pleasure P can make up, but even Pleasure P's solo songs weren't or aren't that popular. So yeah, I've got B2K winning this. Landslide. Not landslide to be fair, but they're definitely taking it. Or they should take it at least anyway. Jagged Edge is a better match for Pretty Ricky. I disagree. Jagged Edge are a much older, seasoned group than Pretty Ricky. They aren't from the same generation. So Pretty Ricky and B2K are both a part of the early 2000s, 106 and Park, Teeny Bopper, Teenage, Scream Tour, Bow Wow. They're from that era. Jagged Edge are that's 112's era. So you got Jagged Edge, you got 112, right? Then, before that you had Jodeci, Drew Hill. So Jagged Edge going against Pretty Ricky is like, I don't know, Mario going against Usher. Yeah, you can play songs back and forth, but different generations, different fan bases, different era, different time. So, yeah, I would never put Jagged Edge against Pretty Ricky at all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. It should be a fun versus, at least a fun show, a fun spectacle at least. All right, guys, coming up to 2 hours now. Yeah, people wanted. All right, cool. Let's talk about this quickly, right? Because there are some anomalies in my analogy, right? I'm gonna break it down for you guys, right? So when you reach a certain tier or caliber of artist, right? You've reached the upper echelon, especially if you are 2 anomalies in your fields, right? And you've surpassed certain things, then you can be compared, right? So when Usher and Chris Brown are like undisputably like the best R&B artists that we currently have in the top 10 that we've ever had, and they're like, well beyond legacy, then, and their catalogs also stretch through several eras, right? They can be compared and they can be, put against each other, I believe anyway, right? So even though I just made the whole Jagged Edge, Pretty Ricky debate, Usher and Chris Brown still make sense, right? But in an Usher and Chris Brown battle, though, I believe Chris Brown wouldn't dig into his old catalogue. I don't think he'll play anything from the first album, because you have to perform to your audience, right? So you can't put, Give Me That or Kiss Kiss, Excuse Me Miss, Run It against any Usher songs. So if you're Chris Brown, it's your older catalog that you use, right? So that's why that works to me. Two legends, two artists who have transcended a few generations, who are still making music, whereas Jagadish and Pretty Ricky, especially Pretty Ricky in particular, it's like a time capsule. Like, they only had like 2 albums. They were only hot for a minute. Like Pretty Ricky, even though, they've got at least 5 or 6 hits, they still feel like a one-hit wonder band to me. Does that make sense? They aren't, but they kind of feel like that. They kind of feel like a one-hit wonder band because they were just quick. They came out, they were successful quickly, and then that was it. Like, it wasn't long-standing success. Whereas B2K, even though they only had like a 2-year run anyway, but their run was a lot more. It was just a bit more deeper. It was a bit more cemented than Pretty Ricky's. Pretty Ricky came across like a flash in the pan, right? Like they almost seem like a little bit of a gimmick as well. But yeah. I thought you were gonna type another one in actually. Let me see if I can give another example of 2 artists from different generations. It's like okay, cool. Let me give 2 examples of what wouldn't work and what does work, right? So, because of their status in the game, right, and how they're compared to each other, right? Some may say, Beyonce versus Michael Jackson, right? I wouldn't do that. I think that's a bad matchup for various reasons, right? But based off of their comparisons, Beyonce is, the closest thing we've had to Michael Jackson since Michael Jackson, right? To me, that doesn't work stylistically, but it works in the same way Usher and Chris Brown work because they're always compared to each other. It's always, who's the best, who's the greatest R&B artist after Michael Jackson? Is it Usher or is it Chris Brown? Who's the closest thing to Michael Jackson we've ever had? Is it Usher or Chris Brown, right? And then even on the Jagadish and Pretty Ricky vibe, like, imagine you saw Jodeci versus B2K. You'd be like, huh? That doesn't work. Drew Hill versus B2K, right? Doesn't work. 112 versus Drew Hill works. Jagadish versus Drew Hill, Jodeci works, right? So, sometimes it's black and white in terms of like generations. Sometimes there are other stipulations that, make it work even though they're from different eras. You know what I mean? But yeah, guys, unless we have any more questions, that is going to be it from me. Once the season starts, I'll probably make this show every Monday, all right? Obviously, come in and talk and react to the weekend's game. So once the season starts, the show definitely it is going to be. I spoke to Brent already, so we're going to be on Mondays. We're going to be on Mondays once the season starts, and then prior to that, it'll just be whatever day we can make work. Obviously, today is Monday, so we didn't show on Monday, but I've done shows before on Wednesdays or whenever, but you guys will obviously be notified. But just to let you know, once the season starts, it will be consistent Mondays, so just so you guys are ready, and we'll be breaking down, obviously, reacting to the games over the weekend for the Premier League champions, you know what I mean? Isn't it nice, though, to go into the season as champions? It's going to be dope, man. That hasn't happened for such a long time. Just, being able to have that gold badge, being able to, it's our title to defend. You know what I mean? That's going to be nice. And I do feel like we're going to win it. I'm gonna do an early shout. I think Arsenal are going to win the league again. I think we're going to go back-to-back for the first time ever. I think we're going to have a little bit of an era. We're going to have a little bit of a run, a little bit of a dynasty. I do. Based off of just an early feeling. I think Liverpool will be our closest contenders. I'm not completely writing off anyone. I'm not writing off City, but you know, I think Liverpool. I think especially because they had such a bad season last season. I think they're going to come out roaring this season or next season. But yeah, I do think Arsenal win the league. In terms of other cups, I don't see us getting back to Champions League final again so soon. As annoying as that may be to hear. I see us doing the league and one of the other cups. So maybe a league and FA Cup double, or the league and the Carabao Cup double. And maybe going out of the Champions League in the latter stages, maybe a semis or maybe a quarters. But I do see us winning the Champions League in the next, I would say 5 years. In the next 5 years. I am over that. I am over the loss though, by the way, if you guys want to know. I think I'm over it. It took me 20 years to get over the final against Barcelona, but it took me only a couple of weeks to go over this one. I think it's because it's a new team, a new era, and I do believe this team will be back there again. So I'm not that pressed anymore. But it would have been nice. But I can say this though, before I go though, it's been hard for me to actually really take in, like, pre-final. I was consuming all the content from us winning the league. But post-final, it's been hard for me to take it in because I'm always thinking, what could have been? Could have won the Champions League as well. So it's hard for me to really, like, you know what I mean, get too giddy about the league now. It's annoying. That's just me, innit? I'm a glutton for punishment, man. But yeah, I'm happy though, obviously. Champions. You guys can't tell, right? So I sent Brent that picture for my background, and the original picture was kind of pixelated, so he put it in ChatGPT, and see the players on top of the bus. That's not even the players. One of them is a bird. That's a bird. ChatGPT is a madness. That's a bird. A pigeon. An actual pigeon. That's crazy. All right, guys. I've been Yus. This has been the reaction, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.